Many people are beginning to discover that for decades, archaeologists have been completely wrong about when people first arrived in America. What if the Clovis First theory that dominated textbooks for 80 years was actually preventing us from seeing advanced civilizations that were building massive earthworks and complex astronomical observatories thousands of years before anyone thought it could be possible? Welcome aboard Arnie's Brain Train, where we're about to completely demolish one of archaeology's biggest myths and reveal the mind-blowing advanced societies that were thriving in America long before Europe even existed. I'm your conductor on this journey through suppressed history, and by the end of this ride, you're going to understand why Clovis First was one of archaeology's biggest mistakes of the 20th century. We're going to be talking about lost megalithic structures, ancient cities that rival Rome, and engineering feats that would challenge modern builders. All of my sources are listed in the description below, so you can do a deep dive even more into this revolutionary story. Let's go ahead and start with this big lie in American archaeology. For 80 years, from the 1930s to the 2000s, scientists insisted that the first people in America were the Clovis culture, named after spear points found in Clovis, New Mexico, dated to around 13,000 years ago. This Clovis First theory was treated like gospel truth. The story is that around 13,000 years ago, Asian hunters crossed the Bering Land Bridge, developed these distinctive Clovis points, spread rapidly across the continent, and became ancestors of all Native Americans. Simple, clean, case closed. Evidence suggesting people were here earlier was either dismissed, ignored, or explained away. Here's the big problem. This theory was built on incredibly shaky foundations, and it was actively suppressing evidence that didn't fit the narrative. According to Dr. Tom Dillahay's groundbreaking research at Monteverde in Chile, the Clovis First theory wasn't just wrong, it was catastrophically wrong. Monteverde is 14,500 years old. That's 1,500 years before Clovis supposedly arrived. But it gets even more fascinating. Monteverde wasn't just a primitive campsite, but it actually shows evidence of sophisticated toolmaking, advanced food preservation, and even possible medicinal plant use. It's actually impossible that these could have been the same people who came over on the land bridge. And Monteverde isn't alone. Site after site across the Americas is revealing pre-Clovis occupation. Paisley Caves in Oregon, 14,300 years old, Buttermilk Creek in Texas, 15,500 years old, and Cerruti Mastodon in California, 130,000 years old, though this one's still hotly debated. The evidence was always there. Archaeologists just refused to see it because it didn't fit their preconceived theory. So if Clovis First was wrong, what's the real story? Well, buckle up because we're about to find out as we explore these advanced societies. Our first stop brings us to the architectural marvels that prove ancient Americans were master engineers. Let's start at Poverty Point in Louisiana, built around 3,700 years ago. Poverty Point, a massive complex of earthen ridges arranged in precise geometric patterns covering 910 acres. That's larger than the entire downtown area of most modern cities. The main mound rises 72 feet high and contains an estimated 15.5 million cubic feet of earth, all moved by hand without wheels or beasts of burden. This is sophisticated urban planning and engineering that required advanced mathematical knowledge and massive social organization. But wait, there's more. The Great Serpent Mound in Ohio stretches 1,348 feet long and perfectly aligns with astronomical events. Ancient Americans were master astronomers who could calculate celestial movements with precision that rivals modern instruments. They were building observatories when Europeans were still struggling with basic calendar systems. And then there's the absolute crown jewel, Cahokia. By 1050 CE, Cahokia was larger than London, Paris, or any European city of its time. We're talking about 10 to 20,000 residents living in a planned metropolis with sophisticated neighborhoods, plumbing systems, and urban infrastructure. The main pyramid at Cahokia, Monk's Mound, covers 14 acres at its base and rises 100 feet high. That's larger than the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It contains 22 million cubic feet of earth, making it one of the largest earthen structures in the world. This was built with precise engineering, perfect drainage systems, and astronomical alignments that demonstrate advanced mathematical and scientific knowledge. Cahokia also had a grand plaza that could hold 40,000 people for ceremonies. They had sophisticated water management, planned residential districts, and a complex social hierarchy. While medieval Europeans were living in what we consider pretty rough conditions, Cahokians were enjoying urban amenities that wouldn't be seen again in North America until the 1800s. Understanding these advanced engineering feats completely changes how we think about human capability, ancient technology, and what's possible without modern machinery. These accomplishments challenge every assumption about primitive societies. Let's talk about some of the engineering marvels that would challenge modern builders. The Hopewell culture, active from 200 BCE to 500 CE, created geometric earthworks so precise that they look like they were designed by a computer. Newark Earthworks in Ohio covers 4 square miles with perfect circles, squares, and octagons marked by straight roads. The Great Circle at Newark has a diameter of 1,200 feet and is so perfectly round that modern surveyors are amazed by its precision. So how did they achieve this level of accuracy without modern surveying tools? Recent research suggests that they use sophisticated geometric principles and possibly even a standardized unit of measurement. Basically, they have their own ancient metric system. This isn't coincidence or lucky guessing. This is advanced mathematical knowledge applied on a massive scale. But the engineering continues to get even more impressive. The ancient Hohokam people in Arizona built over 1,000 miles of irrigation canals that are still used today. These weren't simple ditches, they were precisely graded, engineered waterways that would control water flow, prevent flooding, and irrigate hundreds of thousands of acres. Some of these canals were 30 feet wide and 10 feet deep, requiring advanced understanding of hydraulics and landscape management. And finally, we have Pueblo Bonito in Chaco Canyon, a massive great house built around 850 CE that rises 4 stories high and contains over 600 rooms. The walls are made of precisely fitted sandstone blocks with no mortar, using advanced masonry techniques. The building is perfectly aligned with astronomical events and incorporates sophisticated acoustic properties that allow whispers to carry across vast spaces. Just remember, these weren't all structures that were built randomly and happened to line up just perfectly. They actually represent systematic technological knowledge passed down through generations. Modern engineers study these structures to understand techniques that we've forgotten today. Here's the part that's most relevant to us today and why this story matters more than ever. These ancient Americans weren't just great builders. They were master astronomers and scientists whose knowledge systems rivaled anything in the ancient world. This is knowledge that fundamentally changes how we understand human intellectual achievement. Think about our modern space program and astronomical discoveries that we've made. Ancient Americans were tracking celestial movements with precision that's absolutely mind-blowing. The Caso Rinconada Kiva at Chaco Canyon has 28 niches around its circumference that correspond exactly to the 28-day lunar calendar. Windows and doorways are positioned to mark solstices, equinoxes, and lunar standstills with perfect accuracy. At Cahokia, archaeologists have discovered Woodhenge, a series of wooden post circles that functioned as sophisticated astronomical calendars. Not just primitive sun-watching devices, but they could predict eclipses, track Venus cycles, and calculate complex astronomical events. According to archaeoastronomer Dr. Warren Witchery's research, ancient Cahokians understood celestial mechanics well enough to build predictive astronomical instruments. And here's a fun one. The ancestral Puebloans built astronomical observatories into cliff dwellings that track the 18.6-year lunar calendar. At Chimney Rock in Colorado, they positioned buildings to align with this incredibly complex astronomical phenomenon. You need advanced mathematical knowledge and generations of careful observation to understand these cycles. This wasn't an accident, this is systematic science. This is knowledge that modern astronomers have come to deeply respect. NASA scientists have studied ancient American astronomical sites to understand long-term celestial patterns. These ancient observations are still useful for modern space science and calendar calculations. So why didn't we know about these advanced societies? Why did Clovis First suppress evidence of sophisticated engineering and astronomical science for so long? The answer reveals uncomfortable truths about bias in archaeology. Clovis First wasn't just wrong, it was actively harmful. When sites like Monteverde, Meadowcroft, or Topper showed pre-Clovis evidence, they faced extraordinary skepticism and were often dismissed without proper investigation. According to Dr. Albert Goodyear's research at the Topper site in South Carolina, evidence dating back 50,000 years was ignored for decades because it didn't fit the Clovis model. Not that I'm making excuses for anybody, but you have to think about the intellectual environment. If your career was built on Clovis First theory, admitting you were wrong about something so fundamental would be devastating. Some archaeologists had reputations and funding tied to maintaining this theory, even when evidence clearly contradicted it. This wasn't malicious, it was human nature protecting established paradigms. But there's still a deeper problem. As documented by Dr. Vine Deloria Jr. in Red Earth, White Lies, much of American archaeology was built on assumptions about primitive indigenous people that justified narratives about European civilization bringing progress to an empty continent. Advanced indigenous engineering, astronomy, and urban planning contradicted these theories. The breakthrough finally came when new technologies made the evidence impossible to ignore. Radiocarbon dating became more precise, LiDAR revealed hidden structures, and ground-penetrating radar found buried evidence. Most importantly, archaeologists began working directly with indigenous knowledge keepers who had preserved accurate oral histories for thousands of years. Today, the evidence is overwhelming. Clovis First is dead, and we're discovering that ancient American societies were far more advanced, sophisticated, and scientifically knowledgeable than anyone imagined. The truth is finally coming out. Let's connect all these mind-blowing pieces together and understand why this completely changes everything. What we've discovered on this journey is that the story of advanced human civilization in America goes back at least 15,000 years, maybe much longer. We're now looking at sophisticated engineering that created structures larger than anything in contemporary Europe. Astronomical science that could predict celestial events with modern precision. Urban planning that supported massive populations sustainably, and mathematical knowledge that allowed perfect geometric constructions across vast landscapes. These so-called primitive people weren't just waiting for civilization to arrive, they were the civilization. They were master engineers, astronomers, urban planners, and scientists who developed knowledge systems that modern researchers are still trying to understand. This new understanding changes everything about human capability, ancient technology, and the relationship between knowledge and materials. These societies prove that advanced civilization isn't about having metal tools or written language. It's about sophisticated knowledge, complex organization, and innovative problem solving applied on a massive scale. The Clovis First theory didn't just get the timeline wrong, it actually prevented us from recognizing some of the most advanced ancient civilizations on Earth. These weren't just people waiting for history to begin, but they were the ancient world's most sophisticated engineers, astronomers, and urban planners. And that's a wrap on this journey through America's real history. Your brain just witnessed the complete demolition of one of archaeology's biggest myths and discovered advanced civilizations that rival anything in the ancient world. We've gone from simple hunter-gatherers to master astronomers, from primitive camps to sophisticated cities, from archaeological cover-ups to revolutionary discoveries. Remember, the world isn't always this simple, but it's always this interesting. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and tell me in the comments what shocked you most. Was it learning that Clovis First was wrong? Discovering Cahokia was larger than medieval London? Or finding out that ancient Americans were master astronomers? Subscribe and ring that notification bell for more myth-busting adventures through suppressed history. As usual, please check out all my sources in the description below. There's incredible research revolutionizing our understanding of ancient America. Want to suggest our next myth-busting destination? Drop any ideas in the comments. Maybe we'll explore lost cities discovered by LiDAR, or how ancient American mathematics influenced modern engineering. Thanks for riding with us today, and remember, curiosity is the best fuel for any adventure. All aboard, and we'll see you on the next trip. Bye.